He's Thundarr, I'm E-Lightning, and welcome to Sports Storm. Today we'll be doing another NBA mock draft, just a lottery. Who do you have? The Philadelphia 76ers selecting with the #1 overall pick.
I have them picking Brandon Ingram out of Duke. I was thinking about changing my mind to have Ben Simmons going here, but then I realized, hey, they also have Dario Saric coming. They have Joel Embiid. They have Nerlens Noel and Jahlil Okafor, and they don't need another big man on the roster. I think Ingram stretches the floor more. Who knows? Maybe Philadelphia trades down or just swaps picks with LA, or who knows? Maybe in the lottery it flips. But I just don't see Simmons really fitting in with this Philly team unless they make some trades.
I say you draft Simmons and make him fit in, as I think he's like the best player in the draft by far. And the 76ers need him. I mean, I think they should build their team around him. I think they should deal some of their centers. I think he's a small forward, and even if you have too many big men and forwards, I think you need to sell some of those players away to make room for the best player in the draft. Ben Simmons is the thing that's going to carry your team farther. Not Brandon Ingram, who just gives you stretching the floor and scoring. Ben Simmons gives you everything, and the 76ers need everything.
Ben Simmons doesn't really stretch the floor much. I mean, he
gives you assists, and points.
Yeah, the one thing is, okay, you take Simmons if you're able to deal 2 of your 3 centers. If you can deal 2 of your 3 centers, I say go ahead, get Ben Simmons. You have a front court of Saric, one of the centers, and Simmons. I think that's a great thing for the future. All right, who do you have the Los Angeles Lakers selecting with the #2 overall pick?
I think whoever you have going 1, you have Brandon Ingram going 2, or Ben Simmons going 2. I have Brandon Ingram. Obviously, you build that young big 3, as we've talked about. You and me have talked about in future videos with Julius, previous videos. Julius Randle and D'Angelo Russell all coming together. The Mamba's gone, but Brandon Ingram might just be the scorer they need to kind of help fill the massive void left by Kobe's shoes.
I have Los Angeles taking whichever one of the players, Simmons or Ingram, whichever one's there. I have Simmons still on the board. You know, I think he fits in with D'Angelo Russell. I'm not sure how he'd really coexist with Julius Randle, both of them playing power forward position, and Jordan Clarkson and D'Angelo Russell holding the ball handling. So I'm not sure how much he'd really fit in, but he would be the star of the franchise, and I think LA would love to have him there. So
who do you have going to the Philadelphia 76ers with a 3rd overall pick?
Boston?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Boston.
Like, wow, Sixers are lucky. No.
Boston with the 3rd overall pick.
I have Boston selecting Buddy Hield out of Oklahoma. You know, elite scorer. I could see him being like what Bradley Beal is supposed to be, or maybe a C.J. McCollum. Some people even say James Harden. I think that's a little bit lofty, but I think he's going to be an elite scorer, again, at the NBA level, get around 15 to 20 points a game. I mean, he'll be your go-to shooter if you need him. So I have Boston taking him there at 3.
I also have Boston selecting Buddy Hield. Isaiah Thomas, in these first 2 games of the series, you've really seen him. A good Atlanta defense. I think Isaiah Thomas has been picking it apart. The problem is he has nobody to kick out to, and now with Avery Bradley hurt, that even hurts it greatly. So for games that Avery Bradley's not producing or not in, or anybody really, they need somebody who Isaiah Thomas can drive and dish to. That's Isaiah Thomas's whole game. That's how he's successful. And Buddy Hield is the perfect for that. Buddy Hield, a high volume, high percentage 3-point shooter. That is exactly what Boston needs, and I think a future superstar. That is what Boston needs, and they get it here with this 3rd overall pick. Then who do you have going to the Suns with the 4th overall pick?
At #4, I have the Suns selecting Dragan Bender. They have the worst front court in all of the NBA with John Lure and Tyson Chandler leading there. And Alex Len, exactly. So I think you take Dragan Bender, you go for the big hit or huge miss here. I mean, I think it's worth it. You have 2 lottery picks in this draft. So, I mean, if you miss on one and you hit on the other, you'll still get a good vibe from your fans. But if you can hit on both your lottery picks, Phoenix will be soaring in the coming years.
I also have them selecting Dragan Bender, only because I think, as you said, the big hit or big miss, I think the big hit is worth it, considering Eric Bledsoe is entering his prime. Brandon Knight is like 1 year off from his prime. Devin Booker has shown flashes. I think you definitely need a big man here. And if you hit on Dragan Bender, the 7-1 player who people are saying could be Pau Gasol, then I think you could move up and not just be fighting for an 8 seed in the coming years, but even be fighting for like home court in the first round if you hit. And I think you got to take that risk, as you're not a team like the Timberwolves that can afford to be bad for 2 more seasons. You need to capitalize on your backcourt's prime. And who do you have going to the T-Wolves with the 5th overall pick?
At number 5, I have Minnesota taking Jamal Murray. They could go power forward here, but I think that'd be too much of a reach to take a guy like Sabonis or Ivan Rabb. So I have him taking Jamal Murray, dual threat guard here. He can play the 1 and the 2. I think he'd pair up nicely with Ricky Rubio. I don't think Zach LaVine is really the guard of the future. There's a lot of hype surrounding him because of the whole athleticism thing. I just don't really see him being a leading guard on the team. I see him more of a backup. So I think if you can put Rubio at the point, Murray at the shooting guard, Wiggins at the 3, someone at the 4. I think you can probably find one in free agency or through a trade, and then Karl-Anthony Towns at the center. This team is still young and extremely talented.
I also have them selecting Jamal Murray only because Ricky Rubio is a good distributor of the ball, if nothing else. And now he gets a player to shoot jump shots. I think Jamal Murray also really stretches the floor because I think that was the main problem with the Timberwolves offense this year. I mean, you have Andrew Wiggins, who's an explosive driver and scorer and has a little bit of a mid-range game. But I feel like now with a 3-point threat, if you draft Jamal Murray in that offense, it spaces the floor and gives you a very good offense. And now, who do you have being selected by the New Orleans Pelicans with the 6th overall pick?
At New Orleans, I think it's a very, very popular pick among mock drafts. Chris Dunn as best point guard in the draft. New Orleans could use a wing or a true center because Anthony Davis plays power forward. But I think Chris Dunn is the pick here. He can distribute the ball. Reminds me a lot of a Reggie Jackson or a Jordan Clarkson. He's not going to be the star player on your team, but he's going to be a good supporting cast for your star in Anthony Davis.
I think that you need to get Chris Dunn as he's the best point guard in the draft. And also, the New Orleans needs a pure point guard. Drew Holiday can play point guard, but he's more comfortable in that shooting guard role. Tyreke Evans can play point guard, more comfortable as a shooting guard, small forward. So I feel like Chris Dunn adds a pure point guard to your offense, and pure point guards help any offense. I think he can play a little bit like Chris Paul. Obviously not. I can't make the prediction that he's going to be Chris Paul, but I feel like he could be like their Chris Paul for their offense. And now, who do you have being selected by the Nuggets with the 7th overall pick?
Number 7, I have the Nuggets selecting Domantas Sabonis. I think he's the second best power forward in the draft next to Dragan Bender. He's going to be a for sure thing for Denver. They do have Danilo Gallinari already at the 3. You could go Jaylen Brown here, but I just think a power forward is too big of a need to pass up on. I think Jokic and Nurkic are both centers. I think you got to let go of Fareed. He's not really helping your team. That huge contract. I think you take Sabonis here, an NBA-ready pick.
I think you need Jaylen Brown, as Jaylen Brown is kind of like the opposite to Danilo Gallinari. Jaylen Brown is a very good defense with the potential to develop an offensive game. And I feel like with Emmanuel Mudiay, he could actually find that almost. And also, Danilo Gallinari is inconsistent with his offensive production. One night he'll put up almost 30. The next night he'll put up like 11. So you really need – I feel like Kenneth Fareed, I think you could give him one more chance to try and justify that contract. You still have Jokic and you still have Nurkic. I think you need to add another young piece at either the shooting guard or small forward, and there's no shooting guard worth taking right now. So you take the best small forward still available. Who do you have going number 8 to the Sacramento Kings?
To Sacramento, I have them taking Henry Ellenson out of Marquette. I think he's a true stretch four. Reminds me a lot of Kevin Love. He averaged like 14 and 10 during the season. Very overlooked as a true freshman. So he's still young, and I think he fits in perfectly with Sacramento. Pair him up power forward next to DeMarcus Cousins. You could address the point guard position here because I think they're going to get rid of Rondo in the offseason. But I think power forward is too big of a need to not address.
I have them taking Timothy Luwawu. I feel like you have enough big men right now. I feel like the shooting guard, Marco Bellinelli and Ben McLemore, aren't getting it done. You need to address your biggest need. Timothy Luwawu has the potential to develop, and the Kings team is not looking to compete right now. They may even sell their 2 best players in Rondo and Cousins. So I feel like you get a player that can develop with the rest of your team because you are obviously not contending, and Luwawu is the pick here for me. Then at number 9, who do you have going to the Raptors via Denver?
I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Ivan Rabb out of California. He's also kind of a hit-or-miss guy. Not sure if really he might even stay in school for this year. But if he does go to the draft, I think he fits in perfectly with this either Denver, Sacramento, or Toronto. They all need power forwards. I think he fits in. Some people say he's going to be Chris Bosh. Some people say he's going to be Ed Davis. So it's really a big bargain here, but I think Toronto's willing to take it.
I also have them taking I have them taking Domantas Sabonis. Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. I think Domantas Sabonis, you need to capitalize on Kyle Lowry's prime and DeMar DeRozan's prime, kind of like earlier with Phoenix, except even better. Jonas Valanciunas is like 2 years away from his prime. I think you need to address one of the two holes in your lineup, which is either power forward or small forward. Neither one of those is worth. I think you get the power forward. Then you get a really good offensive combo of Valanciunas and Sabonis, and even a little bit of defense with Sabonis. And I feel like that'll help propel them into as a contender instead of just a good Eastern team. At number 10, who do you have going to the Milwaukee Bucks?
I have the Milwaukee Bucks selecting Jaylen Brown out of California. We already know Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to point guard next season via Jason Kidd. I mean, that means MCW is moving to backup point guard. Who knows what they're going to do with him. But they have a hole at small forward right now. Some people say Jabari Parker might slide in there, but I think Jaylen Brown is more of a fit. Jabari Parker stays at power forward. You know, he's defensive wing. This team has, and he doesn't shoot all that well, but he will be a lockdown defender on that wing, replacing Antetokounmpo.
I have Ivan Rabb going here. I think they're big men. I mean, other than Greg Monroe and Jabari Parker, who are both power forwards, they need a center, and I think Ivan Rabb can play center. And whoever you have there, you desperately need a big man. Ivan Rabb can score and has the potential to be Chris Bosh even. I think that would be an infusion in an offense that needs a little bit of infusion of life other than Antetokounmpo. Who do you have going number 7?
But you want a big man, wouldn't you go get Jakob Poeltl? I mean, last time you had him.
I think you need an offensive big. Right. I think you need an offensive big. I feel like Ivan Rabb has the potential to develop even more of an offensive game. Poeltl, I feel, is a defensive center, not an offensive center.
Yeah, I agree with that, yes.
All right, now who do you have going to the Orlando Magic at number 11?
At number 11, I have the Orlando Magic selecting Timothy Luwawu out of France. I mean, I think really everyone other than Aaron Gordon is up on the trading block right now. I mean, Orlando, I would not be surprised to see them go after a guy like Jimmy Butler or Blake Griffin in the offseason. So I think they already have the assets, and you're just going to try to build around that. I think Timothy Luwawu is the pick here. Reminds me a lot of a Batum or an Andre Iguodala.
I have them selecting Jakob Poeltl. Vucevic is all offense, and they have him playing off the bench. Andrew Nicholson is not getting it done when he gets his minutes. I feel like you need a defensive anchor in there, and Jakob Poeltl is the best defensive anchor at the big man position in this draft. I'm going to say it now. Yeah. I feel like he could be. I feel like his absolute max is kind of a Bogut or a DeAndre Jordan, and that's exactly what the Magic need to kind of shore down one of the worst defenses. Victor Oladipo is really their best defender right now. At number 12, who do you have going number 12 to the Jazz? Sorry.
A lot of people have the Jazz picking a point guard here. I think picking Demetrius Jackson or Tyler Ulis would be too much of a reach right now. I think you can get a decent point guard in the second round. I have him taking Furkan Korkmaz. I'm not sure where he plays right now, but he's an explosive wing. He's probably one of the best three-point shooters in this draft. And at last time, the best three-point shooter in the draft was Devin Booker. And I mean, look how he did this season. So I would not be surprised to see him take a sharpshooting ace. I mean, there's no one else like him, or no one is like him on the Utah roster right now.
I have them selecting Malik Beasley for the same reasons, only because I feel like Furkan Korkmaz is too similar to Alec Burks. They're both perimeter shooting, decent shooting guards. Malik Beasley out of FSU offers explosive athleticism on the wing that they just don't have with Burks or Hayward. He's not similar to anybody else on their roster. I watched his highlight reel and was doing a little bit of research before the video. He's an explosive finisher at the rim, and that's exactly what the Jazz need. That's why they had them picking him at number 12. Who do you have going to the Suns with their second lottery pick at 13?
And I originally had them taking Dragan Bender at the 4th pick. So at the 13th pick, I have him dressing the big man position again and taking Jakob Poeltl. I mean, big defensive center. They just need to bolster this front court up. I mean, they don't really need to mess with the back court with Brandon Knight, Eric Bledsoe, and Devin Booker. So if you can get a power forward in the center in this draft, that would be perfect. I mean, who knows if Jakob Poeltl is going to fall this far, but in my draft he does. I think easily take him with this 13th pick.
I have the 13th pick. I have them selecting Denzel Valentine. I have them already addressed the big man need earlier, and I think the other need for them is a small forward. And Denzel Valentine is the best small forward on the board at this point. I think it's an appropriate time to take him. I feel like he can read your second unit or even start. I mean, he doesn't offer very much perimeter shooting for them, But I feel like it's too much of a reach to get a Korkmaz, and especially since he is mostly a shooting guard. Valentine will come in there. I think Valentine can give you his first season 12 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and that's not bad for a rookie. So that's why I have him selecting him at 13. Who do you have going 14 to the last pick in the lottery? The Bulls.
I think the Bulls could go a number of ways here, or if be a point guard or a wing. I was thinking about putting Denzel Valentine here, but I think the Bulls are going for more upside, and I haven't taken Malik Beasley out of Florida State. He's very overlooked in college. He put up pretty good numbers. Explosive wing. I think he was overlooked because Florida State didn't do very well in college basketball. So I think he's one of the draft's best wingmen, and I think he's going to be moving up draft board soon. Fits in with Chicago nicely with Jimmy Butler.
I have Chicago taking Wade Baldwin out of Vanderbilt. I feel like he is the heir apparent to Derrick Rose. I mean, obviously he won't probably win MVP, but I feel like he can be a very good player in this league for years to come. And you can develop with Chicago. I feel like he can be. I feel like he's the most quickest developer, one of the quicker developers in the draft. And that's exactly what you need to capitalize on Jimmy Butler, or even if you sell him. I feel like the future is bright with Wade Baldwin. That is it for us today at Sports Storm.
Like,
comment, subscribe.
Peace.